part 4 of walking in the Ruah. And Galatians 5:16 reads, "And I say, walk in the Ruah, and you shall not accomplish the lust of the flesh." You may be seated. You may be seated. You may be seated. For those who have kind of been keeping up, remember that we started with Yeshua HaMashiach being born. Then we saw him at 12 years of age and at 30 years of age, and his life was without sin. Then we saw how he was baptized in water, filled with the Ruah HaKodesh, went into the wilderness to be tempted of Satan himself for 40 days and 40 nights, and he was yet without sin. Right? We saw Yeshua speak to Nicodemus about being born again. Okay? And we also saw that on the day of Pentecost, the Ruah HaKodesh was given. The Ruah is a gift from Elohim, nothing more, nothing less. And how many of you know whenever Elohim gives you a gift, he expects you to open it, take a look at it, receive it. And then, with respect to the Ruah HaKodesh, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. Okay? The Ruah, of course, is our helper in all areas of our life. I really want us to understand that. He is our helper in all areas of our life. He helps us in obtaining knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. He helps us even with revelation of the Word. Okay? He helps us when we have to fast, pray, and obey. Okay? As we read the Word. Right? He helps us in keeping us in remembrance of all truth. I mean, he just has a laundry list of things that he helps us with. And that's what his job is. It is to help us. This is why we need to make sure of two things. One, that we don't grieve him. Okay? And two, that we don't sin against him. Okay? Because that's considered to be an unpardonable sin. Okay? It's considered to be an unpardonable sin. And that's just kind of like a brief review as to where we're going today. And I want us to turn to 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy chapter 1. Okay? Timotheos. So Timotheos chapter 1. And I want to go over verse 7 and then verse 9. Verse number 7. If you're there, say Amen.
Amen.
For Elohim has not given us a spirit of cowardness, but of power, of love, and of self-control. Okay? And then verse 9 says, who has saved us and calling us with a Kodesh calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and favor, which was given to us in HaMashiach, Yeshua, before times of old. Now, I want to go over some of this thing. I want you to understand that in this world, there's nothing that you should fear. Nothing. Okay? In the Shamayim, you need to fear Elohim. And when I say that, I'm talking about reverencing him. And also the kind of fear that'll kind of make your knees buckle when you know he can just say "Oop," and drop you straight into hell. Okay? I mean, we need to really, really take into account that he can destroy both body and soul. Alright? So we need to understand that. But the cowardness is something that we do not have. And the Ruah doesn't bring that either. Okay? So if you're exemplifying some type of cowardice, something wrong. Because you shouldn't if you are truly filled with the Ruah. Okay? Now, I want to talk about power. Okay? And I'm going to go over one of my favorite verses, Luke 10:19, which says, I give you power and authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. And nothing shall by any means hurt you. Okay? And nothing shall by any means hurt you. Now, I want you to understand something. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities and powers and rulers of dark places who try to exalt themselves against the Most High Elohim. Those are the things that we're really battling against, okay? On our own accord, we have no power. But with the Ruah HaKodesh, we have the power. Now, what's the power for? The power is for you to be able to have a better understanding and a control of the written word, that it may be used accordingly against the enemy. I want you to understand something. Even the messengers, sometimes called as angels for those who are on the phone, even when they were discussing over the body of Moses, the messengers said, Elohim rebuked thee, or Adon rebuked thee. Okay? He didn't rebuke him himself. I hear people rebuking everything all the time, and yet in the scriptures, I always see the Lord do it. Okay? Elohim Yahshua, Elohim Yahuwah, or Yeshua. Okay? But we need to understand that that power that's given to us is the power of the covenant of the cross in that blood through the word by the use of his name. Did you get that? Because I'm not going to repeat it. Listen to it when you hear it later. All right? It's really very important. We really need to understand that. And how do we know that for a fact? Because the enemy will quote scripture at you. He did it with Yeshua. But every time they got into it, the way that Yeshua answered was, he didn't rebuke them. I cast you with, he didn't do any of that. All he said, it is written. It is written. It is written. Okay? Every time the enemy came at him, all he did was quote the word which was there from the beginning, which is actually Yeshua HaMashiach, who's with us today in the Ruah. It's the exact same power. The exact same power. Okay? But we need to understand that the power is ours to use in order to establish at bay of the enemy. You have no place here, therefore it is written. You gotta go. It is written. You gotta go. There's no place for you here. Matter of fact, according to what is written, oh yeah, there's a desert for you waiting. Leave. Quote the word. Quote the word. Why? Because the word is actually the Son in action. The word is actually the bane in action. Think about it. When you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, do you see him in a lot of action? Doesn't he do a lot of things? Is he not the Word? Was he in action? Well, he was. On our behalf now, we have that with the Ruah HaKodesh. That power is something that we have available to us 24/7. Okay? Whether you're fasting or not, you have authority and power granted to you in the new and everlasting covenant to deal with the enemy here. And you have to do that. There are times when you're going to have to do that. Okay? So just be aware that you can. Now, so you have, he has not given us a spirit of cowardness, but of power and of love. Okay? And of love. And that literally, I'm going to get back to that a little later, especially when I close, because that's when it's going to be most relevant. But I want you to remember that you have a spirit, okay, of love. Okay? Now, you also have to have self-control. Okay? I mean, there are times when you can see people exercising no self-control, and it's like, are you kidding me? Now, it gets really bad when those people claim to be a part of the bride. Because their actions just wrinkled our dress. If you're a bride, you need to be very self-controlled. Especially when someone is in your face and you know they're wrong. Absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you are in the right. How do you know? It's in your contract, line 3, verse. You know what I'm saying? Okay. If we don't have self-control, what happens? Chaos. Everything going nuts. Okay? Self-control in us is the actual revelation of Yeshua HaMashiach's peace within you. Let me stride on that one. Self-control under the greatest of adversarial conditions exhibits the peace of Yahuwah Elohim and Yeshua HaMashiach within you. When you can stand there and take it. And when it's all said and done, all you can say is, Father, forgive them. They don't have to. And go about your business. That's exciting. Okay? I still have one or two. Oh! I'll bark at him a little bit. Help. But you understand what I'm saying? We need to make sure that we exhibit this self-control. Because see, remember that this is what was given to us. This was given to us. We didn't make this up. This was given to us in the Ruah HaKodesh. Okay? Now, let us continue. Okay? Now let's go to verse 8, which we skipped before. So do not be ashamed of the witness for our Adon, nor of me, his prisoner, but suffer hardship with me for the good news according to the power of Elohim. Sometimes we're going to suffer a little bit. Okay? Alright? And this is, of course, Brother Paul, Shaul. Now, who has saved us and called us with a Kodesh calling. How many of you know that you have a Kodesh calling upon you? Now, isn't it interesting that you have a Kodesh calling and you're given the Ruah HaKodesh to accomplish it as a helper to help you succeed in your Kodesh calling? See, most of us need to take the time just to find out what the Kodesh calling is, and then we can start working on it. Because once you know what it is, it's easy. Okay? Not according to our works. See that? Meaning when you go to work in the morning, that has nothing to do with the Kodesh calling. Of course, if you don't work, you don't have the right to eat. So keep your job. But according to his own purpose, and favor. Wow. That is exciting. We all have work to do because He has a purpose for your life. I didn't say it. You did. You have a Kodesh calling with a purpose that He has established, and He has already set forth the favor that you need here to get it done. This is phenomenal. I mean, there is nothing that our Father has not done to ensure our success here in Him, by Him, for Him, that the purpose that He has created you for be accomplished, that He may receive glory from your life. That's amazing. I was hoping to get at least one amen, but that's all right. Okay, let's move on. Woo-hoo. It'll sit by 3 o'clock when it sits in your spirit and it hits you. Amen. That was a good one, Doc. I'm already home. But as long as it gets there, sooner or later, I'm okay with it. Okay? Now, I want you to understand something. I'm going to give you the example that we have with it. Turn to the Gospel of John, chapter 4. And go to verse 34. If you're there, say amen.
Amen.
Okay, now listen to this. Yahuwah said to them, my food is to do the desire of Him who sent me, and to accomplish His work.
Yeshua.
Okay? Yeshua said to them, my food is to do the desire of Him who sent me, and to accomplish His work. Now, isn't Yeshua our example?
Amen.
Do you see how that previous scripture is exactly what He exemplified? So therefore, that's what we should be. That's what we should be. Hence the reason why we need self-control under the greatest of situations. Let me tell you something. Whenever you go off the deep end, someone is always there to say, yeah, he's supposed to be a Christian. To which you could say, no, I'm not. I'm just a follower in need of reprimand, but that's about it. But do you understand what I'm saying? The enemy will put you in situations hoping that you will explode, showing the world who you are in your carnality, just so that he can give you a black eye in your spiritual walk with the Ruah. See, but if you walk in the Ruah, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. It's very important. Listen to me very carefully. We are so close to going home. And it is my wholehearted belief that those of us who are walking with Yeshua HaMashiach in our hearts, filled with the Ruah HaKodesh, living according to His purpose. And even if we make mistakes once in a while, but living according to His purpose. When the trumpet sounds, you're going. When the trumpet sounds, you're going. Very important. Very important. Okay? Now, Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2. That's 1 Kepha chapter 2. Verse number 9. Let me tell you who you are. You are a chosen race, a royal kahuna. Kehuna. A Kodesh nation. By the way, Kehuna is like a royal priesthood, but we know that priesthood is pagan. Okay? A people for a possession. As of course the bride. That you should proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Amen.
This is who you are. Filled with the Ruah HaKodesh. Let me get this one more. Let me make sure that this sinks into your noggin, in your spirit, and everything about you, so that it's all over your clothing before you get out of here. You are, okay, a chosen race, a royal kehuna, a Kodesh nation, a people for a possession, that you should proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. If you're going to be called out of his darkness into the marvelous light, then your purpose is to function within the confines of that light, that the world may see the Kodesh inside of you with respect to Elohim, and also who you are in that Kodesh, okay? Because it doesn't really matter. If you are a part of who you say he is, then you have to act accordingly. You cannot find yourself wishy-washy all over the place. The biggest mistake we could make as people of Elohim is buying alcohol at a store. Why? Because it lets others know that the people of Elohim drink the hard stuff. When it specifically tells us that the drunkard will not inherit the kingdom. Really? And I mentioned that because I saw a few brothers the other day with a six-pack. And I'm not talking about their abs. You see what I'm saying? When are we going to start taking our responsibility as a child delivered from darkness in the light, as a child who happens to be, okay, a part of a Kodesh nation, established for a possession? Do you realize what that means? A possession? The only people from the beginning who were selected to be a possession of Elohim or Yahweh was the nation of Israel. Those people. Okay? They were the chosen ones. Now we're reading from Kepha that this is what we are in him. This is what we are. We have gone completely to the top. We are where we need to be, according to that one passage of scripture. But see, in order for you to be a part of a Kodesh nation, you must be walking in the Ruah HaKodesh according to the Kodeshness of Elohim for you here. You have to be walking according to what he said you should be doing. I didn't say that, he did. Do you understand how significantly important that is for us? And if you don't, look, if you want to have some fun, go to any Sunday church on Sunday and just sit down and watch the people. If you want to have even more fun, pull one of the ushers, or someone who's in leadership, an elder maybe, or anybody in the congregation. Can you do me a favor, please? Help me. I need your help, please. I can't seem to remember the 10 Commandments in order. Can you give them to me? 90% of them won't even be able to. Really? 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 You talk about the original covenant, and then we talk about its renewal. Like they're two separate things, they're one and the same. If he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, what do you think this is? The 10 Commandments haven't died because he was crucified. They're more alive now than they were before. Why? Because he's alive and well. I'm telling you, we've reached a point now of a critical nature with respect to the return of Yeshua HaMashiach, and we're not ready to go. When I say we, I mean all of us as a bride. I'm talking about the universal church here on the earth, okay? We're not ready to go. Why not? Isn't that your hope of glory? Isn't that what we've been waiting for? Isn't that what we've been looking forward to? You know how nice it would be to go up without having to die here? That's a good thing. But anyway, I want us to really, really, really get it together. Let me tell you something. And then it says, okay? that we should show forth his praise. Okay? Now let me ask you a question. You should proclaim the praises of him. The word praise in here literally means barak. That's the Hebrew for it, or the Aramaic, which is literally to bless. Could you think of a better blessing than the recognition of Elohim and the oneness of the Trinity in your life to the rest of the world? Could you think of a greater praise? Okay? Now, remember, he said to Abraham, I'm going to bless you to be a blessing, or baruch you to be a berekah. Alright? Now, the same thing he did with Abraham, he's doing with us. When was the last time you were a blessing to him? When? Don't tell me, I'm not interested. For yourself. 1 Thessalonians tells us that in all things give thanks, for this is the desire of Elohim. When was the last time you just sat down by yourself and thanked him? When? Okay? Praise comes in the forms of thanksgiving, adoration, glorification, honor, reverence, and worship. Okay? And worship. Turn to Philippians 4:6. Philippians. Philippians.
Amen.
4:6. You want to hear something that's kind of interesting? When we close this message, this message came to pass in my life this week, but I couldn't say that with my testimony. At the week. And you'll see what I'm saying later. 4:6. Worry for naught, but in all by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Yahweh. Once again, worry for naught, meaning what? Don't worry about anything. Okay? Don't worry about anything. But in all. So what does that exclude? Nothing. But in all by prayer and petition. Now, let's see. Read the word, fast, pray. That's where I heard that before. Read the word, fast, pray. I knew I heard that before. It's been a theme for a year and a half. For a whole year. It has a purpose. It has a function. You have the right to pray and petition your Heavenly Father for whatever it may be. Got that? Okay. Now listen to me very carefully. But you have to make sure to do it with thanksgiving. And then you can let your request be made known. Okay? In other words, be grateful. Thank Him. Thank Him. Thank Him. Thank Him. Is it sinking? If not, cover your left, cover your right ear, and turn and face the other way so I can yell into the other one. It won't go out the other side. It'll stay inside. Do you understand how important it is to recognize who He is in you just by saying, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate a $10 bill. Whether it be a Hamilton or the bottom line on a big one. Thank you. Do you understand how important this is? I hope all this really sunk in, because this is our last, more than likely the last time we're going to go into this. This may be the last one. Okay? Part 4 could be the last one. Unless the Father gives me something else for next week. But anyway, understand that. Critical. And yet, there are many in the bride that almost never thank Him. But they claim to be a part of the bride. They claim to be filled with the Holy Ghost. They claim all kinds of things. But I don't know. Go to the Psalms. Psalm singular 22. Tehillim. Psalms 22. Verse number 3. Yet you are Kodesh. Enthroned in the praises of Yisrael. Now this was in the original covenant. Right? Now didn't we just read that we are Kodesh? Didn't we just read that? Yeah. So if we just read that we are Kodesh, and now we're reading that they were Kodesh, and He's enthroned in the praises of Yisrael, He will be enthroned in your praises. Come on now. Let's get real here. He will be enthroned in your praises because He's referring to you with the same reference that He made to His people, Yisrael. He called them Kodesh and He called you Kodesh. How do we know He's talking to us? Because the original one that He mentioned was in the original covenant, and after we were grafted in, He mentioned it again in the renewed. Which means what? It includes us. We are a part of this. He is enthroned. in our praise. Wow. I like that. I really like that. Okay? Flip back to John 4. Now we're going to get to the fun part of this whole thing. At least for me, anyway. With a Spanish accent, I love it, man. I love it. Okay. Now, John 4. Now, I want you to get a hold of this because now we're going to start really getting into the nitty-gritty of all of this. Verse 23 and 24. Okay? But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father also seeks such to worship him. Elohim is Ruah. Walk in it. 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 Elohim is Ruah, and those who worship him need to worship in spirit and truth. Oh, man. Let me tell you something. Do you know what the word worship means? It means to prostrate yourself before the Father. That's what it means. With a joyful heart of thanksgiving. Come on. That's what it means. To prostrate oneself in reverence. In reverence. While the Ruah is your helper to make sure that you are now prostrated worshiping in the Spirit. And when you got saved, the Father gave you the gift of His Son, who happens to be the truth, the way, and the life. He's, wow! You are down there with the Son of Elohim within you, with the Spirit of Elohim within you, and you are down there now with a joyful heart of thanksgiving, praising Elohim, and He will enthrone Himself in that praise. Woo! It doesn't get any better than that. The primary purpose of the Ruah is to establish a love relationship between you, Elohim, Yeshua, and Himself that allows you to praise and worship in a way that is pleasing before the Father. Come on now. Am I the only one who's loving this? It is, using technical terms, phenomena. That's a technical term right there. Phenomena. Listen to this. Oh, man. You can't get it any better than this. And how do we know this for a fact? Turn to Matthew 22. When you're there, say amen.
Amen.
Go to verse 36 to 40. Matthew 22. I'm sorry. Yeah, 36 to 40. Listen to this. Teacher, which is the greatest command in the Torah?
And Yeshua said to him, you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, with all your mind. This is the first great commandment. And the second is like unto it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Church, I'm going to show you something today that if you get a hold of it, it'll revolutionize your life. Turn to Deuteronomy now. Turn to Deuteronomy 6. Deuteronomy 6. When you're there, say amen. Or amen. There? Okay? Let's go to verse number 5.
Me.
And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your mind. Do you see how the whole purpose of the original covenant, the renewed covenant, Yeshua, the Ruah, Yahuwah, Elohim, the three of them in one. The whole purpose of it is for you to have a love relationship with Him. Let's continue. And you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Do you see this? It's a 24/7 thing for you and your family. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. My oh. And you shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart. And you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be a frontlet between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. Do you see that wherever you are, wherever you go, whatever you do, you represent nothing more than the love relationship you have with Him? The purpose of all of this is to get you to love Him. And everything else comes after that. And how do we know this for a fact? Let's go back to Mark chapter 12. Verses 28 through 31. There. And one of the scribes coming near, hearing them reasoning together, knowing that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first command of all? And Yeshua answered him, the first command of all is, hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim is one. And he said, and you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first command. And the second is like unto this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other command greater than these. I don't know how else to get this to you folks, or anybody else for that matter. The sole purpose of your existing is to have a love relationship with Him and to finish the work you need to do. That's it.
nothing more, there's nothing less. And in your salvation, you were given Yeshua HaMashiach, and on your baptism, you were given the Ruah HaKodesh. And between the two of them, they make sure that you have the Spirit and the truth to praise and worship the Father. You have the Spirit and truth to praise and worship the Father. Now, if you're trying to get the logistics of it all, okay? I want you to listen very carefully. You praise just to get Yahweh to inhabit your praise. And how do we know that you want to get Yahweh to inhabit your praise? Because you already have Yeshua and the Ruah within you. The purpose of your praise is to get Yahweh to be enthroned in it, or join you where you are, inhabit it. Okay? Once he's enthroned, it's one and the same. Once he is enthroned in your praise, prostrate yourself at his feet where you belong and worship. Let him know how much you love him. Let him know how much he means to you. Let him know how much you really care. Thank him for everything he's done. Love him if you have to. Wash his feet with your tears if you need to. Ask him to help you in your areas of weakness. Ask him to strengthen your areas of strength. Ask him to make you to be everything he needs you to be. Make that such an intimate moment that you will never, ever, ever, ever want to leave it, but rather get back to it time and time again. Make that such a special moment between you and him that it is undoubtedly the best part of your living here. And when you get up, look directly at him and say, my food is to do your will. My food is to accomplish that which you sent me to do. My food is nothing more than you. Take the time to walk in the Ruah, and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, which completely destroys everything that he has for you. You have to make up your mind that you are going to walk in the Ruah. I've given you just about everything you need to go and get right. In addition to, Yahweh is eternal. Yeshua is eternal. The Ruah is eternal, and the three of them will get you there. Your eternity is in them. Let them be